A very good morning, students. In this video we are going to discuss about the topic soil as a resource. Before this topic we have already covered the topics like what is a resource, the definition of a resource, how are the resources classified, the importance of resources. We also discussed about the planning of resources and several other topics. We discussed one of the most important resource, that was the land resource. And now, today's topic is soil as a resource. Soil. Soil is one of the most important natural resources. It is a gift of nature to us. It is also renewable. That means soil has the property to replenish itself. Even though it takes thousands and millions of years for soil to form itself, but soil can be renewed. So it is a renewable resource. So soil is a medium of plant growth. Yes, the second point says that soil is a medium of plant growth. Yes, plants cannot grow without the availability of soil. Then it says that soil is a living system which supports all the living organisms on earth. Living organisms like human beings, plants, and animals, all of them depend on the soil for their survival. Now we discuss how is soil formed and what are the factors that affect the formation of soil. So here we have 5 factors that affect the formation of soil. First one of them is the change in temperature. Surely, change in temperature will affect the type and formation of soil. Let's assume Rajasthan has completely different temperature than Arunachal Pradesh. Obviously, we know that Rajasthan lies in the west of India, whereas Arunachal Pradesh lies in the easternmost part of India. So, the soils that will be found in these two regions will be very different. That means the change in temperature is surely a factor which affects the formation of soil. Now we talk about the wind and the actions of running water. When the high speed winds and the running water move from one place to another, they carry along with them some particles. They carry some sediments which get deposited on the land. And then these sediments which get deposited on the land, they seep through the land and then they help in the formation of soil. We now talk about the activities of decomposers. What are decomposers? We already have studied about it, but we will have a recap. Okay, decomposers are the organisms which help break down the organic material. They are the organisms which break down the organic material and the chemical substances into smaller parts. They decompose the material. Okay, so the decomposers which are present in the soil, like the earthworm, they help change the formation of the soil. They make it more fertile, more fine, and several other changes that help in the formation of soil. Similarly, the last point talks about the chemical and organic activities that take place in the soil. For sure, they help change the formation of the soil. We now move on to our next slide that covers the soil profile. So soil profile is a vertical section of soil which helps us to see different layers of soil that are there in it. So we start from the bottommost layer that includes the unweathered parent rock material. So I'm marking over here the unweathered parent rock material as a ticks. So this is the bottommost layer, which is the unweathered parent rock material. If I compare it with the substratum weathered parent rock material, then the only difference between these two is that the last part, the unweathered parent rock material, is untouched by the climatic condition, and it includes only the hard rocks which form the base of the soil. Now we talk about the weathered parent rock material. This is a part of the soil, a layer of the soil which again includes the parent rock which forms the base, but this part has been touched and also affected by the climatic conditions at some point of their life. Maybe let's say 100 or maybe thousands of years ago, this part of the soil was surely affected by the climatic conditions there. Now we move on to the second layer of soil, that is the subsoil. This subsoil includes sand, silt, clay and other sediments which make it less fertile than the topsoil. And the topsoil we talk about is the uppermost layer of the soil, which can be excavated by hands also. And this layer is the most fertile layer of the soil, best suited for the plant growth, and it also includes the organic, inorganic material, and also some humus and other properties suitable for the plant growth. Okay, so we have now discussed the soil profile, and we now move on to the classification of soils. The soils can be divided into different types on the basis of several factors. For example, the climate of the place, the landform the place we are having, the place we are living in, the landform of the place, the type of vegetation that is there in the place. Also, the bedrock, the type of bedrock which forms the base of the soil, are several factors which divide the soil in different types. For example, if I say that there are two types of rock, the igneous rocks and the metamorphic rocks. Okay, so these igneous and metamorphic rocks will for sure help in the formation of different types of soil. So these are the several factors which help in the classification of soil. In our syllabus, we have 6 different types of soil that we will study. The first one of them is the alluvial soil. So, the alluvial soil is the most spread and the most important soil we have in India. Talking about the formation of alluvial soil, how is alluvial soil formed? So, we have two concepts here, the role of the Himalayan rivers and the role of the deltas. We'll discuss them. The Himalayan rivers like the Ganga, the Brahmaputra and the Indus river, they flow from the Himalayas, and while flowing from the Himalayas to the northern plains, they not only carry water but they also carry along with them some sediments like clay, sand, silt, etc., which help in the formation of alluvial soil. These sediments carried by the water, they get settled down on the land of northern plains, and there they help in the formation of alluvial soil. Similarly, when we talk about the role of deltas, the deltas are formed in the eastern coastal plains because of the rivers like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, and they also help in the formation of alluvial soil. So I'll explain you in detail how does delta help in the formation of alluvial soil. See, I'm making this peninsula part of India, if you can see very clearly over here. So let's say we have the rivers flowing, see, and before the rivers flow into the ocean, they get diverged into, they make several subsidiaries, and while they make these subsidiaries, they also form deltas, and because of that the flow of the running water gets very slow, the speed gets very slow, because of which all the sediments which are carried in the river, they get deposited in this eastern plain, they get deposited in this eastern coastal plain. I'm marking it with yellow, this eastern coastal plain, they get deposited over here, because of which the alluvial soil is formed in the eastern coastal plains of India. So I guess that was much clear. We now talk about the location of alluvial soil. We can find alluvial soil basically in the northern plains of India. We can also find them in the eastern coastal plains of India, as we told, because of the deltas, and also we find alluvial soil in some parts of Gujarat and Rajasthan. The next point says that such soils are common in Piedmont plains. Now, what do we mean by Piedmont plains? Piedmont plains are basically the foothills. Now I'll explain this again through a diagram. See, for example, I make this hill and let's say a mountain, and these are the foot of the mountain, right? These are the foots of the mountain, so we will call them the foothills. So this part, this part which I'm marking as a rectangle over here, which is beneath, or let's say at the bottom of the mountains, these are very rich in some minerals and fertile soil, and thus they are called the Piedmont plains. So we have some Piedmont plains in India also, which lie in the foothills of the Himalayan mountains, and the three regional names of the Piedmont plains are Duars, Kos, and Tirai. Now, these are the three Piedmont plains which are very rich in the alluvial soil. We now move on to the division of alluvial soil on the basis of age. The alluvial soil which is young in age, or let's say it is the new alluvial soil, it is called Khadar, and the soil which is old is called Bangar. The Khadar soil is much more fertile than the it is much more fertile than the Bangar soil, and it has also some fine particles. If we compare Bangar and Khadar, then Bangar has a lot of, let's say, conker materials in the rocks, whereas the Khadar has fine particles, because of which it is much more fertile than the Bangar soil. We now move on to the next slide, which says that the alluvial soil is best suited for the crops. It says it is best suited for the growth of sugarcane, paddy, wheat, and other cereal and pulse crops. It also says that due to its high fertility, that means the alluvial soil is very fertile, that means all the regions where we have alluvial soil, they are densely populated because they have the capacity to support a large population. So that will be all for today's class. In this class, we discussed every detail of the alluvial soil. So now you can read the part of alluvial soil from your book. Thank you and have a nice day, everyone.